My real introduction to jiu-jitsu was getting armbarred in my first MMA fight when I was 16. That was when I first understood the realness of it. And then one day I decided I wanted to get ranked in jiu-jitsu. I just Googled how to do that. Thread on the 10th Planet Forum came up and they had this criteria of how to get ranked. I mean, I just remember the day I got my blue belt. It was like a dream come true. Like I literally said I could die happy. And then to go, you know, from there to here, it's been pretty crazy for sure. Well, let's see, I was in EBI 1, 2, 3, 5, 11, 13, and then this is my third Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. I've got to compete in Polaris a couple times and compete in Kuwait and kind of, you know, some different places around the world. But you know, CJJ, EBI, they're kind of what I care the most about, you know, that, and the only other thing would really be ADCC. But one of my, you know, favorite wins that I have is the Shugyo Invitational. It's a no time limit, sub-only tournament, and Jordan Holloway was in it. And so that'll be cool because maybe we'll get to, you know, meet up again in this CJJ coming up. Yeah, I mean, the pandemic has really put a kink in jiu-jitsu. But you know, I was supposed to open the school April 1st, just a week or two after the lockdown started. So we haven't ever been able to fully open. We're just doing small sessions and you know, doing what we can with a concentrated group of people. And in a way, it's actually a really good thing because the training is actually more quality. Maybe there's not so much quantity, you know, not a lot of new people coming in, but everyone that's in is super consistent and they're just like kind of real about it. So the quality of training has been great as far as that goes, and you know, we just kind of keep to ourselves and do what we do, you know, just grapple. Yeah, it's been wild, you know. I actually won a qualifying tournament at headquarters one time. It was for EBI 11, where I actually ended up facing Craig Jones in the first round and he got me. But, you know, I think I deserve to be here. You know, I think I'm gonna win it. It's just cool to have, you know, I mean, I took second place in EBI 2, you know, back in 2015, 16. I've taken second place in CJJ twice, and I made it to the semifinals in EBI 13, you know, like I'm consistent. So I think it's just time for me to win it, take it home.
A guy that's not fun to grapple now. Nathan Orchard not fun to grapple. On the back, Samson Phommabout in trouble. Just 1 minute into regulation. This is a wealth of time for Nathan Orchard to work.
155 is where I like to be. I'm a little small for 170, but I'm like a good size 155er. So this is where I'd rather compete. This is where, you know, I feel like I always do my very best, you know, is at 155. I mean, look, if I won this tournament, it would be my crowning achievement in my career. Like, it's what I care about the most. It's something that I've had a lot of shots at, and I've always kind of fallen a little bit short, but I really want it. You know, I want it, and I'm gonna go for it. And I'm not just necessarily, you know, just fighting to win or fighting for money. Like, I'm fighting for my family. I'm fighting for much deeper things than fame or money or whatever else like that, you know. So, you know, it definitely means a lot. I've had so many overtime matches, and I've had those long grinding fights. I mean, back in the first EBI, the overtime was no time limit. Now they're 2-minute overtime rounds. Plus, you know, I mean, I just think at this point I want it the most. That's all it comes down to is I just think I want it more than everybody else.
Tonight he hopes to claim welterweight gold, and he will have his opportunity.
My initial thoughts on CJJ was that I think with everybody, it was kind of skeptical as far as like, what is this? You know what I mean? It's not pure jiu-jitsu. You know, it's gonna be like a freak show or a sideshow thing. But I really like it. And when Eddie was talking about it in the beginning of the warm-up last time, I was kind of nervous because like I've done a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions, but I'd never done one with strikes. So he's like, you know, you don't want to play half guard, this and that. And I'm like, I really like half guard. You know, so I didn't want to get knocked out. And what I saw at least in the last one was that the guys with the better jiu-jitsu tend to win. the strikes only really came into play, at least in the event I was in, whenever guys were frustrated or they didn't really know what to do or where to go, and throwing strikes seemed to open up other things. So while I'm not opposed to throwing strikes, I will throw strikes. I think that the guy with the better jiu-jitsu is going to win. I think the strikes can help if the guy's being real defensive, or if you need to open up something, or if they're just like trying to stop the pass, then it could be helpful to throw a strike in there to help. But I don't think you want to just put your whole strategy in strikes. It does leave you open for doing other things. If your hands are occupied with strikes, you're not going to be posting or trying to pass or doing some other things. So I think it's great that strikes are in there. I think it's really cool, and it adds it's a fun element of the game, and it's only one competition that you really get to do with strikes. So I'm excited to be back, and I think it's fun. My previous experience in CJJ is going to benefit me in that I'm not going to be so nervous like I was initially the first time in doing strikes, because I've been there, I felt it, I understand what it entails. So I think I know what more to expect now this time. It really was a lot like any other competition I've done. I've competed on any sub-only invitational you could probably name. Honor Invitational, Shugyo, Sogi. I'm the 145 and 155 pound champion in third coast grappling. I've competed on submission under pro several times. I think for a long time people thought that I was just a leg locker, and I think predominantly I did leg locks because it was to cover up other deficiencies in my game. But now that I've had time, I'm experienced now, and been a black belt for quite a while now, I focused and well-rounded out my game. So I think I have a heavy top game, good full mount, good passing, good pressure. You saw that in the last CJJ. I can either do a scissor leg takedown and go to leg locks, or I can pull a sweep, pass the guard on anybody, and throw strikes from there. So I feel confident and strong on top or bottom, and wherever the fight goes. And so I think I'll be more than prepared for anywhere the match ends up going. So. I'm really excited to be competing on CJJ Cancun in Mexico. Mexico is really awesome. I've been there when I was a kid, when I was a teenager with my parents and stuff, and it's gonna be good to have my honeymoon with my wife over there. It's an honor for Eddie to have me back. Even once, it was always a dream of mine to be on EBI, and to be invited to do so well, I felt like in the first one, and then to come back and be able to do the lightweight one, like I couldn't turn it down. You know, I'm really excited to be on it. I'm super stoked to get out of the country for a while. I've learned to value and appreciate more my faith in God, His sovereignty, and something that I could rest upon whenever everything seems to be going crazy and everyone else is freaking out around me. Also, my wife, Alana, who cooks for me, cleans for me, does everything for me, and basically takes care of me all the time with my diet and exercise, motivating me. My family and my team, who stuck with me through everything, even during the whole Corona thing where we had to tape up the doors and the windows and stuff, and they kept, paying tuition, supporting the gym, because this is my only job, and helping us to not only pay rent, but so I could live and continue to do what I love to do in jiu-jitsu, and not have to stop training during the whole Corona pandemic thing. So I really appreciate my team, my God, and my wife, and my family. I know I have what it takes to be a champion. Every day, all my goals are set towards that. I get up in the morning early to lift and train and run, and we train every day. Each step that I take, each competition that I enter and compete in, win, lose, or draw, brings me closer and closer to my goals. One of my ultimate goals in jiu-jitsu is winning ADCC and winning an EBI title. So I know I have what it takes to be a champion. At the lightweights, you can expect to see me coming forward, pressing the action, attacking, whether I'm on bottom, attacking for sweeps, whether I'm on top, throwing strikes, passing the guard, looking for submissions, fighting hard, never ever giving up.
My name is Kade Ruotolo. I'm a brown belt under Andre Galvão at Actos HQ in San Diego. I think this year our training's been coming together nicely. We just, throughout the, when the gym was closed, it was great to have my brother, to train with. I think it definitely helped me a lot to stay sharp. So when I couldn't train, now, everything's kind of been back open. So, I'm stoked to be training with my teammates, my brother, everyone. First initial thoughts is I think it's pretty awesome, to be honest. I think puts a total different perspective into the game. I've been working it with some of my teammates and my brother in class. It's a little tricky, and I enjoy it. I've always had urges to fight. I've always I still have hopes and urges to maybe one day maybe start working in more MMA and going through that route. So I've always kind of had that ambition. Like with my brother, we walk down the hall, he shoulder checks me, it turns into a fight, you know? So I mean, we're always, you know, we're used to getting hit, used to, and we trained striking for a little bit too. So we're used to the hands, and I think it'll be fun. If I'm on bottom and if someone tries to slap me, I think, and they land a slap, I feel like it's just gonna turn a fire in me, you know? My brother does that, and you know, he's my brother. So, and when he does that, and you know, wars, you know. So, I think if anyone does, you know, get a good slap in, I think I'm, you know, not gonna let it go by without consequence. Coming into this, I would never do a competition if I wasn't, you know, 100% confident or comfortable to compete.
Last round, let's go. Last one. 2 minutes. Go.
You know, spent like 4 years doing Muay Thai, you know, boxing here and there. Not super consistently, because, you know, Jiu-Jitsu's kind of been our #1 priority. I'm just kind of like falling back to, you know, that, but we've still been training him, and they're still, you know, engraved into my mind. And, you know, I know how I react to getting hit, and that's why I'm excited to, you know, I'm not afraid to get hit. Yeah, the get down rule is something that I've never competed in that before, but I kind of like the rule. You know, I think on the feet is where my brother and I are two places that we love to be. I think not a lot of people really realized it. They kind of expected us to be more of just, I don't know, more all-around players or guard players at first. But, you know, my brother and I have been wrestling. We did judo and, you know, all different types of takedowns and stuff since a young age. So we both are confident in our stand-up. So, you know, if it gets to that point, I think in the get down rule, if I don't take the guy down within the 1 minute, I'm pretty confident that my pace is going to be enough to win me to decision, regardless if I want to be on top, bottom, however it goes. Yeah. You know, Professor Angelica and Andre are pretty much developed my entire no-gi game completely, as far as, you know, like the competition no-gi. And my gi as well. I've evolved so much here at Atos, and just learning different strategies, different, just everything, you know, all around the board. They help so much. I mean, even to just taking fights, fight advice, you know, contracts. They have so much knowledge and so much information, and they're always willing to share. So Angelica and Andre, you know, they're the best.
Yes. Let's try more. Let's attack. Just attack submissions. Attack submissions. Attack submissions. Scramble to his leg. Don't worry about his slap. Go. There you go.
You know, I'm feeling more in the gi and IBJJF rule sets, and even now, like the no-gi ADCC rule set, things like that, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. I wouldn't say there's any like specific positions where I feel super like nervous or, you know, anything like that. I feel pretty comfortable. With the combat, there was, you know, a position that I noticed that you couldn't be as, you know, relaxed, or I didn't feel as relaxed. It was like just playing, you know, open guard or just any relaxed position on bottom. I realized, like, I think it really just depends on your opponent. You know, there's two different types of styles where, like, I had two people like either just trying to do more traditional type passing, and then I had people slapping me trying to finish. So it's completely, you can't cruise, you know, there's zero chill when someone's slapping you. The 10-minute rounds, you know, I'm used to, like the last match I did was 15, the last couple were 15, so I've been used to those longer rounds. If possible, I would like to try and get the fight, you know, finished before the overtime, you know, because of course that's not my preferred areas, you know, where it could be for other people. But, you know, if it does go to there, we'll be grinding here at the gym and you know, brushing up on our back controls, spider web, all those different positions. And yeah, like I said, I'm confident wherever the fight goes, you know.
So I'm getting quite experienced in the competition, the competitive format, where I'm definitely controlling my nerves and adrenaline a lot better, so I can perform more similarly to what I would in the gym. I feel like that's one thing that will help me significantly in this tournament, and what you can expect from me is the fact that I know I won't quit and I won't give up, so I'll push through whatever's necessary to kind of give my best. I definitely believe, and I always have believed, that it's every athlete's job to be entertaining and to put on a show. I don't promote boring jiu-jitsu or think that it's good for the sport. at the end of the day, it's already a limited spectator sport, so it doesn't help when you've got guys stalling the matches out or not really pushing for spectacular performances. So the one thing you can all say about my performances is they're never boring, and although most people would disagree, I often think it's better to lose and go out with a bang and make the matches entertaining as we'll talk about as possible, rather than win and ever not care because I did nothing for the match. You know, like especially submission grappling, I believe you talk mostly about the guys who are exciting and the guys that are winning. So hopefully I can do both, but you definitely don't want to miss my match. As always, I just want to thank my team. They've been great in this lead up to combat jiu-jitsu. You know, it's nice to have people around you who want to slap you in the face, I suppose. Almost everybody wanted around, weirdly, for combat jiu-jitsu over regular jiu-jitsu with me. So it's been fun. It's kept the atmosphere in the gym light and entertaining. So, you know, we'll see on the night what really happens. But I'm just excited to get out to Cancun, Mexico, compete again. Freddie Bravo, and you know, it's just an honor to be out there, so I'm looking forward to it. Since being a black belt, I've spent the majority of my competitive career working on my wrestling and guard passing, having quite good success with it. I have been taken down a black belt, in particular against Kade, who was actually in this tournament. So if I get that rematch back, I would like to re-exchange the wrestling with him and see how it goes this time. I do feel like my top game is strong, and it definitely is one of the things I look to implement. I believe the wrestling for jiu-jitsu players within this rule set might be even stronger than the MMA guys, because a lot of MMA fighters use their strikes to set their wrestling, where jiu-jitsu guys use their grips or just distance management. So it's going to be interesting. You know, I definitely will fight for that top position. I feel like pulling guard is a risk that you might not want to take in combat jiu-jitsu. So hopefully I can get the takedown and then maintain top heavy pressure and then deal damage where I can, and utilize my jiu-jitsu to pass the superior positions and then look for the finish. So I'm excited to see how it goes.
All control, all you. Keep working towards what you want, Dash. In total control. Keep working towards what you want. A little bit more work. Come on, keep insisting on it. Keep insisting on it.
It's been quite a while since I've done a tournament format where I've had more than one fight in a night. 40 minutes of jiu-jitsu is very difficult, you know, and I think the one benefit of a tournament over a super fight is you can kind of grow. You can grow from match to match, and you know, you can shake the nerves off, and you can potentially perform better every single time. Equally, there's the massive factor of cardio and conditioning. You know, if you push too hard in those early rounds, and especially it's happened to me before on one of the EBIs, you know, where I had a win, and then the next 3 matches were over like 2 minutes, and you know, my match went to full time. So it does happen, and you know, it can be very tough in those conditions. That's the one thing I think with tournaments which is different to the one-off matches, is you can't predict what's going to happen on the night. So you could be fighting someone relatively fresh or 2-3 rounds deep. You know, I've pushed a few people into some real deep wars on EBI, and then they've lost quick the next round. You know, so it does happen quite frequently, and I think it's an interesting format to compete under.
It shows, you know, what kind of a competitor. Do you rise to the occasion, or do you buckle under the pressure? So far, he seems to have a laser focus, and I think it's helping.
The overtime is what really makes probably the difference, because it's a massive output of energy if you get there, and then you know, potentially got very little rest and you're going to have to go again for another 10 minutes. So, you know, I think everyone's condition will be great, and I think previously competing on EBI will just help me with the nerves and adrenaline and the format in general. You know, unless you've done EBI all the time, I feel like, you know, you might push too hard in 10 minutes, especially if there's nothing really happening, you know, if you know you can't get the finish.
Williams in a very dangerous spot by the young Mexican.
If nothing else, he is racking up time, but he really wants that finish.
And now he's still in the triangle, so he's no longer in the back position or spider web, but we're not going to stand anybody up and call. Oh! Nicely done. Defensive posture finally wins through for Ashley Williams. Aldunson with a bit of frustration as he had a very nice, superior, advantageous position, but
sometimes the overtime could be your saving grace. For me, that's not the case. You know, I always want that 10 minutes to be in my favour. So I feel like knowing what I know about EBI and the fact that I've competed in the rules set before, it'll help me with experience and it'll help me make the right decisions at the right time. You know, with the 10 minutes, I've got to make the right call on where to be outputting all my energy, and I need to, if I feel like it's going to get to the overtime, I need to reserve what I can so that I can successfully win those overtime rounds. Good jiu-jitsu is good jiu-jitsu. You know, no matter what the rule says, whether it's points, sub only, time limit, makes no difference really. If you do progressive jiu-jitsu and you know, take down, pass, mount, back, control, then realistically, where's the loss going to be? You know, that's probably the game to have the most athletes these days.
My name's Todd. I'm a black belt under Triton Fight Center and Brothers Jiu Jitsu. Being able to get invite to combat Jiu Jitsu means a lot, especially knowing that our gym has already had 2 guys, Hunter and James, have competed on it. So being able to add this to our gym name and to our town, I think means a lot. My style of jiu-jitsu will benefit this type of rule set in terms of being technical, keep my head low, and applying strikes as I start to pass. I think the addition of palm strikes adds a different level as far as eliminating a lot of the open guard games, a lot of the passive or lazy styles really tends to tighten up people's guards. They pressure into me more. They're more cautious of passing certain ways or throwing certain submissions up to where they can be hit by the palm strikes. I think the most important strategy is to get in, submit the guy, and move on. Can't wait to let it go into overtime. That's just going to be wear and tear on the body and on the cardio. The lockdowns as far as training goes hasn't affected me that much. Started working out at home more. I got parallel bars, was doing push-ups, sit-ups, dips, walking up and down the stairs, running in the neighborhood. As far as training jiu-jitsu goes, we kept it pretty small to just a handful of guys coming to the gym, making sure we were safe, and keeping away from COVID. I have what it takes to win this because of my determination and the fact that they're going to either have to submit me or knock me out. Even whether I'm in a bad position or dominant position, there's still time to work. There's still time to improve my position and win it. You can expect a lot of strikes from top, bottom control, a lot of pressure passing, keeping the pressure on the guy, just breaking him down to get the pass to the submission. If I've had any message just to share with anyone, especially after this year, is to don't quit. Even though we've taken time off, find a way to work out, find a way to do jiu-jitsu or some sort of activity to keep your body going. just keep active.
Fighter ready? Fighter ready? I got ready? Let's go, Jiu-Jitsu.
Kind of an all or nothing guy, and you know, if I'm not winning nationals or ADCC or something like that, then this is, you know, or CJJ, then I'm not really accomplishing what I'd like to do, you know. Started doing wrestling, and then I wrestled for a long time, and then started doing MMA. You know, a lot of years off and on there with the MMA and the wrestling and everything like that, but most of my life I've been doing some form of grappling or fighting. I'm definitely honored to be on this CJJ bracket in Cancun, Mexico. First of all, it's a really, really cool location that we get to go visit. It's really cool that Jiu-Jitsu gets to bring guys like me just to really cool places to do really cool things with cool people, and I'm really honored to represent Eddie and 10th Planet in combat Jiu-Jitsu, whether it's from being on top or on bottom. I feel very good about being able to do a good job to show what we are working on and what we do.
Barch almost the hips. There it is.
Nice.
DJ Barch looks likely moving on to the quarterfinals.
The addition of palm strikes definitely changes the grappling game. There's you know, there's jiu-jitsu guys in MMA, but they're rare, and there's jiu-jitsu guys in MMA, but the cool thing about the palm strikes in the MMA is it's kind of a bridge between the two, and you get to really see some real jiu-jitsu with stakes, you know, things at stake, such as getting hit in the head. The addition of it, I think in general, just kind of it moves forward from bottom, more of a clinch game and a come-up game that is a little bit tighter. Things have to be a little bit tighter. You cannot play such open guard games. A lot of things that work in different rule sets would not work quite as well when guys are trying to hit you. So it definitely bridges the gap between jiu-jitsu and MMA, and it gives jiu-jitsu guys a chance to show what's possible if you invest the time into the jiu-jitsu. And then also you get to see better what works. You know, we get to understand a little bit better. It's almost like a lab for practicing techniques that could then transition over to MMA for high-level jiu-jitsu guys to practice these things. So yeah, it definitely changes the game quite a bit. Maybe the first couple of weeks after the initial lockdown in March, things were a little bit tight over here. But as you can see, I'm home at my home gym, and so I have places to train, and I have people to train with that I'm close with. So during that time, I was being able to get some training in with close friends and things like that. And then we were able to, you know, get things going at the gym and stuff like that pretty soon after. So it affected the training. I think the training not quite as much as the competitions and stuff. You know, it's been a little bit of a dead year for competing for me, and for a lot of athletes. But and I'm sure it affected anybody. Some people probably more than others. But I'm grateful for what I have and how I made it through all this stupid stuff that happened. Since all the chaos going on in the world, things that I appreciated more during this time, I think initially when something was really going down, I think it was my family, because I was realizing how far away they were from me. If something were to really happen, I would be really far from anyone in my family. So learn to appreciate them and call them a little bit more through all this time. For sure that they've been through it with me, and just not like the idea of like there's just so much stuff that I guess we just take for granted in general, that we can't do anymore as freely and openly. Just walking through the airport the other day, seeing everybody in the mask, it's like it's crazy to me that's normal now, is wearing a mask. So just not wearing a mask in general would be really nice, and I appreciate just not having a mask on. So there's simple things in life, really.
It's a privilege. I'm glad that, you know, Eddie and everyone at EBI and CJJ Worlds knows that I'm the kind of competitor that will come out and put it on the line. I'm not looking to get to overtime. I'm looking to either finish my opponent or get finished going for my own finish.
Emmons a very strong leg locker.
There it is, it's a tap, quick. David Garmo in some serious trouble.
I'm a finisher, and they pay to finish. Whether it's CJJ or regular grappling, my game plan's pretty much the same. Go out there, do good position, and try to finish my opponent one way or the other.
Actively passing, but that threat of those strikes, just being able to posture up and not be controlled there, keeps the bottom guy a little more honest. He can't just stand up, can't just frame. You gotta have an active strategy from the bottom that deals with the potential of strikes.
It changes it a little bit. I think a lot of it depends on if you've ever fought MMA before.
Oh, here we go, falling back on the leg like it's a honey hole entry. And Emmons is really good right here, still very aware, clears the knee line. May look to attack his own leg lock here. He's no stranger to this position.
It seems to me like a lot of the straight grapplers are the ones that are affected by it more, as opposed to the guys that have fought MMA before. It definitely makes a difference knowing what to expect, where to strike from what angles. Experience goes a long way dealing with anything, and this is no different. I think I'll be in a lot better shape than I have been in the past. This will be the first time I've done the 155 weigh-in day of in 5-6 years, something like that. So I've had to put in a lot of extra cardio and a lot of extra training just to get down in weight. So I think my cardio will be better. Being a little lighter, I'll be a lot faster. I'm running out of time. I'll be 40 next year, but it seems like every time I get to EBI or CJJ Worlds, my performance is a little better. So hopefully this can be my, last one.
My name is Terra. I'm a 3rd degree black belt under my brother Terra, and I represent Terra Association. I started training jiu-jitsu when I was 14 years old because my brother was doing all these tricks to me, and I wanted to learn so I could fight back, against him basically. I think my biggest accomplishment in jiu-jitsu was just sticking with it. I was terrible when I started. I kept going. That's pretty much my motto in life, is finish what you start, never give up. Besides being a black belt in jiu-jitsu, an athlete, I also graduated law school in Brazil before I moved to the US. And currently I'm pursuing a master's degree in US law with University of Dayton. My dream is to practice law in the United States, even though it's really, really hard for a foreign trained lawyer to pass the bar in any state here in America. You already know I don't quit, so that's how. Yeah, I competed on EBI 5. It was a long time ago, but competed in many, many different types of rule sets. And that's common in jiu-jitsu. I'm used to it, and the EBI rule set since I did it in 2015, is still one of my favorite rule sets because the rules are very objective, and that's one problem I see with some other organizations where the rules are subjective. The referee is in charge pretty much of deciding. On EBI, the referee is there just to make sure nobody gets hurt pretty much because he has no say in who's going to win the match. It's all on you. So that's what I like about EBI rules. I was honored to be invited and considered for this event, and I can't wait to put on a show in Mexico, Cancun. You know, I'm really fired up. I can't wait to put my hands on these guys, you know, for the first time. Combat Jiu Jitsu Worlds is just a wild tournament, you know. I definitely have a lot of respect for anybody who signs up for this. You know, getting slapped on TV is not going to be fun. I think the most important strategy to win this tournament is kill or be killed, do or die. You know, there's no advantages, no bullshit takedown rules. It's kill or be killed. I believe I have what it takes to become the champion, because I'm not a regular jiu-jitsu guy, you know. I have wrestling, I can control the fight take place, and I have submissions from everywhere. So I'm ready to show that. You can expect me to put a lot of pressure and come out on top at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds in Cancun, Mexico.
My name is Cody Owens. I'm a purple belt representing Travis Took, Team Took MMA, and Michael Torres, Torres Jiu-Jitsu. So before I decided to start this journey down this jiu-jitsu competition avenue, I was a professional MMA fighter, had a very successful career, went undefeated, 3-0 as a professional, 6-0 as an amateur, accumulated some amateur belts and stuff along the way, was very close to making it to the UFC, and then had some injuries and things like that deterred me from going down that path, and now I've been kind of guided down the avenue that I'm going down now, so I have chosen to really stay focused on that. So yeah, that's a little MMA, and then jiu-jitsu. You know, I've competed on the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds before. I've done jiu-jitsu overtime, had some very good success in multiple other stages, third coast grappling and things like that. And then, you know, outside that, man, I'd like to say that I'm a good family man. I try to be the best big brother, father figure, and husband that I can be. And that's probably the thing that drives me the most in life, is being that for my family. Man, I'm very, very blessed to be picked out of all the people out there, all these black belts, all these crazy people chomping to get at the bit. You know, I'm on here with Nathan Orchard, the Ruotolos. There's Jordan Holy coming out of Houston as well. A bunch of different people that have been picked, and all these people are highly decorated. And for me to be chosen as part of that 16-man bracket to get invited back, it really means a lot to me, and I look on making the best of it this time around. It just makes certain positions a little more hostile. Like, you can't just bail off on certain leg locks. You have to be aware that you could get popped in the face there if you commit two hands to one. It makes certain positions a little more realistic as far as actually getting smacked in the face when you're going for submissions to try to get the finish. But overall, I think because I've got the MMA background, I'm a little comfortable with it. So it's just another day in the office for me. I mean, keep kind of with the history of MMA. I loved it, man. It's kind of, you know, I couldn't, like I said earlier, couldn't go down that path like I wanted to anymore. And this is really like the closest thing that I could get to that MMA feel, that jiu-jitsu hardcore, smacking people. And, you know, I really enjoy it. This time around, I'm way more prepared for the rule set. I didn't know the rules last time. There was just certain positions I didn't really hammer in training like I probably should have. And this time around, I'm a lot more aware of those little nuances and kind of ways to go with the rules, and manipulate them and things like that. So a lot more prepared with the rule set this time around. heavy, in your face, get me off of you if you can. Once I start my game, it's really hard for people to stop that avalanche. So if I can get my game going, I feel very confident that I'll be successful. There was a very select group of us that trained throughout this whole pandemic, whether we were supposed to or not supposed to, whatever. But we did it with a very select group of people that I trusted, people that I trained with all the time. Obviously, my brother is one of my main training partners, and he lived with me, so it's one of those things where I had to rely on the people that I could, but for the most part, I got the training that I would have gotten anyway. There's always going to be a rule set and a skill set and different ways for people to manipulate and strategize and things like that. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, how bad do you want it? I think that I reign supreme in that category. You're going to see me getting after it from the get-go and not stopping until my hand is raised over and over and over until that belt gets put around my waist.
Representing Lowell Anderson Jiu-Jitsu, Grizzly Laird Anderson.
Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds #1 underway.
My name is Laird Anderson. I'm a black belt under my dad, Lowell Anderson, and my coaches are Lowell Anderson and Sam Rice. I was excited to compete, and I've been training martial arts for a long time and fighting as well, so the addition of strikes to the ground game is nothing new to me.
Ooh, beautiful.
It changes it in ways that you can't get comfortable in positions or settle in positions for too long because a strike might be coming.
Have to pay attention to your cardio.
Anderson really loading up on that strike a moment ago.
Being a professional mixed martial artist, I'm very used to having strikes as an addition to the ground game, so I was excited and enjoyed competing in it.
Now back to, beautiful strike there, landed right hand, gets through, that'll wake you up.
I think the experience that I took away from the first one was the overtimes and the rule set and format of the Eddie Bravo Invitational.
Now in on a leg. Again, all submissions legal in this tournament.
Training CJJ with Elias has helped immensely. He competed in the CJJ Featherweight Championship and also the most recent Jiu-Jitsu Overtime. So training with them is very beneficial. I have what it takes because I understand just how hard it'll be in every single match, and I expect every single match to be the hardest match I have.
This might be the next big thing when it comes to ground fight.
Absolutely. I feel like this is Eddie Bravo's vision to one day make Jiu-Jitsu as big as the UFC, and we're making history tonight.
My name is David Weintraub. I'm a brown belt at Vitor Shaolin Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think people are going to be surprised by my striking and my top control and pressure from top position. In all of the chaos that's been going on in people's minds and in the news, there's been a lot of isolation involved in just everything shutting down and focusing on training and doing nothing else but that. And there's value in that as well. And I've learned a lot and developed a lot from that as well. I decided when I was 15 years old that I wanted to train in martial arts full-time. I dropped out of school. I was training martial arts full-time by the time I was 16, and I have been ever since. I got into MMA a few years later. Through MMA, I began to explore more wrestling and grappling. Ultimately, I found my way into Jiu-Jitsu about 5.5 years ago. Here I am. I won an amateur MMA title and an amateur Muay Thai title before transitioning into professional grappling. I've won the UGC Pro No-Gi title. I'm 5-0 with Fight to Win. I am the finishers sub-only lightweight overtime champion. I I'm the Kasai Pro 6 bantamweight qualifier from New York. Those are my accomplishments. I got started in martial arts as a teenager. I dropped out of school when I was 15 years old, specifically to start training in martial arts full time. I've been training since then. I started as primarily a striker. I got into MMA, and through MMA I found my way into wrestling and then into Jiu-Jitsu. I've been training in Jiu-Jitsu for about 5.5 years. In terms of strategy, it's going to be about being efficient and effective, avoiding damage, dealing damage efficiently, keeping the pace, breaking these guys down, looking for the finish, and just, I'm ready for anything. I'm ready to go. This is an incredible opportunity. It's something that I've wanted for a very long time, something that I've been working for a very long time, and I'm honored to be a part of this event, and planning to give it everything I have. Adding strikes to the grappling game definitely keeps things more honest regarding actual hand-to-hand combat. It changes the offensive potential from various different positions, and because of that, it changes how people need to attack and defend from a lot of different places. When the first combat jiu-jitsu event was announced, I was excited about the sport and I wanted to get involved, and I started training under these rules, at least sometimes in my training sessions right away, as soon as the sport existed, as soon as Eddie Bravo created this. So I've been preparing for a long time. I know I can become the champion because every single one of these guys is exactly like me. They have 2 arms, 2 legs, and a neck, and I know that whatever I get a hold of, I can break.
I just think at this point I want it the most. That's all it comes down to, is I just think I want it more than everybody else. So I'm gonna go for it for sure.
I have what it takes because I understand just how hard it'll be in every single match, and I expect every single match to be the hardest match I have.
You can expect me to put a lot of pressure and come out on top at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds in Cancun, Mexico.
It definitely bridges the gap between Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, and it gives Jiu-Jitsu guys a chance to show what's possible if you invest the time into the Jiu-Jitsu.
You know, brushing up on our back control, spider web, all those different positions. And yeah, like I said, I'm confident wherever the fight goes, you know.
Each step that I take, each competition that I enter and compete in, win, lose, or draw, brings me closer and closer to my goals. One of my ultimate goals in Jiu-Jitsu is winning ADCC and winning an ABI title. So I know I have what it takes to be a champion.
You're going to see me getting after it from the get-go and not stopping until my hand is raised over and over and over until that belt gets put around my waist.
Whether it's CJJ or regular grappling, my game plan's pretty much the same. Go out there, do good position, and try to finish my opponent one way or the other.
We'll see on what really happens, but I'm just excited to get out to Cancun, Mexico, compete again for Eddie Bravo, and you know, it's just an honor to be out there, so I'm looking forward to it.